What's going on, everybody? Good late morning now. Late morning. Hope you guys are continuing to do well. And we've got to finish up some business from earlier today. We've got more fullbacks to take a look at, actually. I know that's surprising. 2 videos on fullbacks. But I wanted to just go ahead and get it all out now because it's a hot topic right now. The fact that Klint Kubiak came out and said, I like using the fullback, I plan on using the fullback this year, got people's attention. So let's run with it. Let's go with it. And let's try to figure out who it could be. And I'm going to tell you right now, these next 2 guys we're going to talk about are very interesting and should intrigue us massively as Seahawks fans right now, just because there is every reason to believe that Kubiak might see this as an option. So first guy is Adam Prentice, and the reason why Kubiak might like this is obvious. He had Prentice on his team last year in New Orleans. So Adam Prentice has spent his whole career with the Saints so far. He's still young, just turned 28. So plenty of miles left on him. Not a guy who touches the ball very much, has a few catches a year, a few touches a year. Last year did not touch the ball once, even though he played 17 games. Was targeted a few times. But yeah, this is not a guy who's earning his keep as a playmaker, is a play enabler. And you go to PFF here, you can see he lines up in the backfield a lot. They used him a lot in New Orleans last year. Double-digit lineups in the backfield in most games, mostly as a fullback. You can see that he had a grand total of 12 times he lined up as a halfback, and the other, that would be 187 times it was as a fullback. So more than 10 times a game he's lining up as a fullback. And he's only lining up at tight end about twice a game on average. 34 times in 17 games. So twice a game there. Spends maybe a play a game in the slot, play a game at wide out. Basically, he's a fullback. He is a true blue fullback right now. And a lot of people are talking about Taysom Hill, and we will talk about Taysom Hill shortly. Adam Prentice might be more intriguing to Kubiak because he actually used Prentice as a fullback throughout the 2024 season. You look at PFF, they're not big fans. I will say that. They're not grading him all that highly. They're not blown away. He did allow a sack against Tampa Bay, which you don't see backs allow sacks very often in this league. Maybe he gave it up, lined up as a tight end. Hard to look that kind of stuff up. But this is a guy that I imagine Kubiak probably feels some affection towards because he kept using him throughout the whole season. So I think there's definitely going to be a little bit of a push to get Adam Prentice on the Seahawks. There's no market value page, but we're talking vet min here. Hard for me to believe anything else. Got 1 year, $1.1 million last year with the Saints. Probably going to get $1.2 million in 2025. So 1 year, $1.2 million, and you're saving significant money on that versus a Reggie Gilliam signing, and certainly big money on a Patrick Ricard signing. And you're getting a guy that you know your OC likes. So I'm kind of feeling this one. This one feels about right to me. I don't know why the Saints would bring this guy back. So it's not like there's a bidding war. All right, next up, we are going to talk about the guy that I mentioned a minute ago, Taysom Hill. We got to talk about Taysom Hill because you know Seahawks fans are going to be buzzing a little bit about this one. The Mormon Missile, been in the league a while now. Going to turn 35 before the season starts. Buyer beware. Age becoming a big concern. Taysom Hill is a guy who is not going to be looked at as just a fullback. In fact, my suspicion is that if the Seahawks got him, there would be way more going on here than a fullback. We all know that Taysom Hill, he plays a little quarterback. He plays a little bit of wide receiver. He does a little bit of tight end. He does running back stuff. He has the ball in his hands and makes plays with the ball in his hands quite a bit. And he's carved out a decent role in the NFL. I've never been a huge fan of the Taysom Hill packages. I've often wondered if they're a little gimmicky. But I do think that there is a time and a place for it. I do think there is an argument to be made that he is adding value to this team. And Look, he's not a free agent. The Saints are probably going to let him go. And at 35 years old, I don't think there's going to be a big market. If Kubiak looks at Hill as the guy who could enable some trick plays and some fun stuff in his offense, don't be shocked. Now, you take a look at PFF snaps by position. You can see 26 snaps as a quarterback, 65. Remember, he missed a lot of games. He played 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 games. Keep that in mind. 65 snaps in the backfield. About, let's see, what is that? 41 snaps as a fullback. So getting a decent amount of burn in that role. Also doing about 24 snaps as a halfback, 43 snaps in line, 63 snaps in the slot, 28 snaps wide. He's all over the place, man. This guy's just doing all kinds of fun stuff for the Saints offense. They use him everywhere. Just for fun. I mean, not that this matters nearly as much, but if you go back to 2023 and you take a look at this same stuff, before Kubiak got there, they used him as a fullback once. Otherwise, he was a halfback, quarterback, inline, slot receiver, wide receiver. So Kubiak was the guy who seemed to go in there and go, I want to use Taysom Hill as a fullback sometimes. Now, the PFF grades on him are pretty good. Not necessarily as a run blocker, it would seem. They like his pass blocking, not that that means anything when he's got 5 reps at it. But his PFF grade has been pretty decent before. He's been a decent blocker according to their metrics before. You got to be careful with this. Obviously, he's old. He's about to turn 35. Definitely at the age where his abilities in this capacity might not be what they used to be. But maybe Klint Kubiak isn't even looking at this guy as much of a blocker anyway. Maybe he just wants to enable his gadget plays. Now, his last contract was 4 years, $40 million. But I think most of us understand that's pretty deceptive. And there was never any expectation he was going to get most of that money. Right now, he has 1 year left on his deal. And the Saints are expected to try to find a way to move off of it. You look at these numbers, it might not be so easy to do so. It would probably have to be post-June 1st. You can see the Saints have they've really taken it, man. They've really overextended themselves to try to build a Super Bowl caliber team, and they haven't even gotten close. So, I don't know if he's going to be a cap casualty. He's definitely a guy who makes sense to move off of as the big cap hits are starting. Maybe the Saints decide we're already committed to him anyway, let's just go with it. But if he shakes free, I don't think he's getting $40 million from anyone else. I think that Taysom Hill is probably looking at getting pretty close to the veteran minimum at this point because he is so old. And because the kind of player that he is, most coaches are not going to see utility in. Okay, so last guy, we got to talk about the man himself, the greatest fullback of the modern era, Kyle Juszczyk. We have to talk about this one. Division rival for many years, had a great career, 9-time Pro Bowler, made an All-Pro team. About to turn 34, though, so age is becoming a thing for sure. Hasn't been able to chase down that elusive Super Bowl yet. Had a few opportunities, has not come together for him. But he could be a free agent this upcoming offseason. Iron Man plays in double-digit games every year, has played full seasons consistently almost every year, gets the ball in his hands a lot. He's good for at least 100 yards a season. Receiving also gives you a little bit as a runner, so more of a playmaker than some of these other guys, but these numbers are not why he's making the Pro Bowl. He's making the Pro Bowl because he's also an excellent blocker, or at least he has been. Got to be careful with guys at this age. You pull up PFF, you can see this guy is one of the most highly used fullbacks around. Every game he plays, he lines up in the backfield. Double-digit times are pretty close. Sometimes he does line up as a halfback. You can see that of the 200 snaps where he was in the backfield, about 67 were as a halfback, and the rest were as a fullback. So it's not quite 10 fullback snaps a game, but it's pretty close. Plenty of experience doing it. We could go back year after year after year after year after year. You can find more seasons where he's constantly providing fullback value. Inline tight end, close to 200 times last year. Still gives you a little bit of value as a blocking tight end. Some slot work as well, about 100 snaps. Wide receiver, 50 snaps. So he's doing a little bit of that stuff too. But the main thing here is that if you want a guy with fullback experience, it doesn't get much better than this. This guy's been doing it for a long time. PFF, pretty good with him. Didn't love his 2024 season, but they think he can still block. They grade his blocking quite well. And you can see that if you look at previous seasons, they've never really liked him ever since 2020, they haven't really been a big fan of him. And yet every year he's making the Pro Bowl, getting all pro level respect, getting the credibility of being one of the best players ever really at his position relative to the era. So I suspect that PFF struggles with the fullback thing because it's an unconventional position. Hard to know. So you look at Spotrac here. He's in the second year of a 2-year deal, but the Niners can save more than $4 million and only owe him 2.2 if they release him. Good chance that happens. They might need the money. He's getting older anyway. There were some negative signs with him last season. About to turn 34, they might let him go. And, I mean, the contract you would have to sign him to would probably be more than vet min. You can see that he's gotten contracts in the past that have been more than $5 million a year. But at his age, it definitely wouldn't be that much. 1 year, $3 million at most. And you'd be getting the fullback of his generation. Let me know what you guys think. That's it. That's all I got for this position. I'll see you guys later. Go Hawks. And maybe we'll talk about this more draft time. But if the Seahawks want a true fullback, I think those are their options. See you guys later.